The average user on Facebook has 338 friends. An average number of Twitter followers a person has is 707. Now imagine your family and these 1,000 acquaintances got together and decided to build a tower. Is that possible? Well, let's talk about the Tower of Babel and the creation of nations. Hello, my name is Ben and this is Maps of Faith. And I'm on a journey to discover how different people groups such as the Chinese, Indians, or Greeks, how they all came to the beliefs that they hold to today. And I just wanted to invite you on this journey by subscribing to this channel. Because this journey starts right here in this episode with the story of the Tower of Babel. So we're going to get into it now. Would you believe that the number of people on the earth at this time was only 1,000? To me, that was shocking when I first realized that, because growing up, I always imagined that there were millions of people on the earth, perhaps because it was artist renditions of the story, or maybe because of the thousands of Israelites who built the pyramids, which influenced my way of ancient construction and how that worked. But let's take a moment now. Let's examine what the Bible says about this event. We will evaluate how I come to that conclusion of the world's population, and also how many nations and languages resulted from it. So, here we go. We find in Genesis 11, 1 through 4 that the whole world used the same language and the same words. And it came about that, as they journeyed east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they used brick for stone, and they used tar for mortar. They said, "Come, let us build for ourselves a city, and a tower whose top will reach into heaven. And let us make for ourselves a name, otherwise we will be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." Now, there's nothing wrong with building a tower. It was this reasoning behind why they built it which I believe is wrong. Because did you catch the reasoning? For me, I think it was twofold. One was they wanted to create something that reached the heavens and make a name for themselves. In particular here, it seems that it was Nimrod who was the instigator of building the tower, for he was a mighty hunter and, well, the founder of Babylon, Assyria, and several other large cities. And you can read about him in the prior chapter, chapter 10. He very well could have sought a place to be God over these inhabitants, which is very interesting, right? But when we talk about reaching the heavens and becoming God, how high is high? How high did they get before, well, God put his foot down and said no more, and then he intervened? We do have one description of the tower. In the 5th century BC, Herodotus saw the tower on his way through Babylon and described it as having 8 levels and standing a colossal 60 meters high, which in today's skyscrapers would be about 20 stories. So now imagine you're being on a flat plane and you could really see that tower stand out from there, and it would draw people to it. And thus, you would always know where a population was. And because of that, number 2, the people would all stay together. But what did God tell Adam and Noah in prior chapters? He said that mankind was to fill the earth. Man is to leave his father and mother and be joined with his wife, to create a family of their own. And here, well, they didn't want to separate. Really, it's understandable considering they were so few in number. Each person would have their own skills and abilities. It would be far more convenient to stay together and become a mighty group of people than to separate and learn all these skills on your own. Especially since their one language and individual abilities seemed to synchronize together so well that God had to, after observing them, say that nothing would be impossible for them. And when us as humans become self-sufficient, even, well, see ourselves as better than others, so to speak, which is essentially, pride, we end up moving away from God's standards and his plan for us in the world. This is what led to the global punishment of the world just a century before the tower was started. We read in Genesis 6, 5 through 8 that, "Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. The Lord said, I will blot out man, whom I have created from the face of the land, from man to animals to creeping things, and to the birds of the sky. For I am sorry that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Now, like the pre-flood inhabitants of the earth, it wouldn't take them long to, become so corrupt that God would have to judge them again. And since he promised to never flood the world again, like he just did a few generations back, he handled them differently. He disrupted the unity by bringing in confusion. Fun fact, nothing can bring harm to any organization or relationship more than poor communication. I mean, that's what every organization development book will teach. That's what every marriage counselor will tell you. And now, because of this disruption, we have the birth of many nations. And they were forced to disband and inadvertently fulfill God's commandment to fill the earth. So consider this. And here we go with the population of the earth at that time. Genesis 10 gives us the descendants of Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. There were about 70 sons mentioned here. So we could say that there were 70 families who helped build the Tower of Babel, right? 70 families that were born on the earth after the flood, which is just a century prior to this event. Well, if we use a conservative estimate where each family has 10 kids, that would give a total of 70 sons plus 70 wives, because, I mean, how else are they going to have kids? You multiply that number by the potential kids, so 10 times 140 equals 104 or 1,400 people. If you multiplied it by 12, you would get 1680. Now, there could have been more or less, so members could have died, more could have been born, Noah could have had more kids with his wife. But in 100 years, starting with 8 people, with it taking at least 12 to 14 years for each child to grow and develop to be able to become parents of their own, it leaves the possibility of 1,000 to 2,000 people on the earth when looking at it with simple math. So leave a comment below with your guesstimate. But now imagine, well, the division of this people. When God confused their language, each family would have probably 10 to 14 members. Each family would have been given a language of their own for, well, they each started their own nation. And the Bible tells us here in chapter 10 which nations came from which family. And linguists and geneticists today can actually point back to a time when there was one language and one family, which was somewhere in the North Africa, Middle East area. And now that these people have been, well, from one area and disrupted and separated to another, we can talk about the filling of the earth after the Tower of Babel. So if we think about this and look at world history, the dispersion of nations was not a global migration yet. You know, most families stayed within the Middle East region as we know it today. It wasn't all of a sudden the Americas were inhabited, nor were the Chinese people started right then. You know, that will take time in world history. This is actually part of the journey that I'm on and invite you to be a part of by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. I want to discover at what point did these nations break out and migrate globally. But for right now in this area, we have the rise of 3 great nations. And it was close to a century after the Tower of Babel that they arose to such greatness. This is the beginning of how civilizations are built, conquered, and how DNA and their languages mix. So if we use the young Earth model, that's a 6,000-year-old Earth, which is actually the best model to use in my opinion because it makes sense of historical dates, and more recently it explains genetic tracing through the Y chromosome, which I find just fascinating. That is something that I am actually curious how evolutionists are going to rebuttal. And you can check out more information about that by reading the book Traced by Dr. Nathaniel Jeanson. I'll link the book in the description below. But based on biblical records and history as chronologists have traced it, we can place the flood at around 2348 BC, which puts the Tower of Babel at 2242 BC. Now that we know that, we can see that Babylon, being the first great empire, was established about 2234 BC, and it was established by Nimrod, according to Genesis 10:10. The next great civilization is Egypt, which was established by Mizraim, Ham's son, in 2188 BC. And fun fact, Mizraim is the Hebrew word used for Egypt, and it's sometimes called the land of Ham. So after that, we had the third great civilization, which was Greece, and it was established in 2089 BC. Now, if you look at a concordance, such as using the Blue Letter Bible app, the name Javan, the son of Japheth, comes up as Greece in Daniel 8:21. And so we could assume that Javan's family started this great nation, much like Mizraim started Egypt. But this video is not about tracing those nations' histories, at least not yet. That's in a future video. But this is a good starting point to, well, demonstrate how I'm going to go about future episodes, because like I said, this journey is to see at what point did each nation change from believing in the God of Noah to having their own beliefs and gods. Next video, I'll be covering the Chinese people group, and I think that you'll find their maps of faith interesting. So I hope you learned something new from this video. If you want to continue this journey with me, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Be blessed.